which he is caught. I mean, that is a dejected...
The all doubted me said I couldn't do it. The all said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.
This is Leon Rocky Edwards. He won the UFC welterweight title in August 2022, surprising everyone by snapping Kamaru Usman, who was on a 15-fight winning streak. Leon made history as the first Jamaican-born fighter to grab a UFC championship. Hailing from one of the most perilous and economically deprived neighbourhoods in Kingston, Jamaica.
In downtown Kingston. For many inner-city residents, there's only poverty, homelessness, hunger, inadequate and unsanitary living conditions, and a lack of much-needed medical care.
In Jamaica, it was poverty. You know, you can call it poverty. I was brought up in a wooden house with a zinc roof. You know, and my dad was the leader of a gang in the area where I lived in.
A gang war has spilled into the streets of Jamaica's most violent downtown slums.
The Edwards moved to Birmingham, England, when Leon was 9.
Well, me, my mum and my brother to the UK for a better life, you know, to give us a better opportunity at life.
They say we've got it too easy over there. Yeah. But they don't seem to understand that was the 30s and 40s, now this is the 60s and 70s.
Despite Leon's father harbouring good intentions for his family, he persisted in his criminal activities and did not renounce his illicit ways.
He came to the UK first, and I think he was still doing what he was doing, selling drugs, getting into gang shit.
This ultimately led to his tragic demise.
With the gang culture and with doing what he was doing, and didn't end up getting murdered. Like I said, when I was 13 years old, and then from there it's like you have to be like the man of the house, and I was like, time to grow up. He's no longer a kid no more, you know. And
that was a tipping point that pushed Leon further into a life of crime. Interviewed by ESPN, he would later say, "My mid-teens were my darkest years, and I was involved in fights, robberies and stabbings. I was arrested a few times, fought all the time, and that's why my nickname is Rocky. I got that from school." Yet fate smiled upon the Edwards family, as it prompted Leon's mother to bring him to a nearby gym, influenced by unseen forces in the MMA universe. His understanding of combat had heavily been influenced by gang culture, making the concept of a fair fight within a sports context seem unfamiliar. Yet following a few sessions, his coach recognised his innate talent, providing positive reinforcement that inspired him to intensify his training. He soon emerged as one of the most promising prospects in the gym, attracting a flurry of fight offers as a result.
Positive reinforcements I was getting from the coaches, from the teammates, saying, "Oh, you're good, you can do this, if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it." You know, you never had that. Growing up, I never had that growing up, you know. It's always just about, I wouldn't say it's negative, it was more just about surviving, a surviving mentality, you know, and to have now people reinforcing your confidence and say, "Look, you're good, if you stick to it, you can achieve something."
Back in 2010, Leon had his first big fight at Bushido Challenge 2, where he took down his opponent with a submission in just 2 rounds. Right after that, he got a deal with a UK MMA group named Fight UK. This was his debut as a pro, and he nailed the victory in his first 2 pro fights. To then be disqualified on his 3rd bout due to an illegal knee.
I think mentally he could be very, very close to the edge, and we see Leon's corner.
Big left hand
there, and there's a left hand, and there's a big knee.
The issue is, Ben,
did he have it
down? Calls a stop to this contest due to an illegal knee.
He would later join an organisation called Barmer, where he would win a total of 6 fights, becoming the promotion's welterweight champion by the end of 2014.
Bama Lonsdale British welterweight champion.
Another good fight.
His performances there piqued the curiosity of the largest MMA organisation on the planet, the UFC.
Manager come to the gym one day and be like, "What do you think about fight? What do you think about Brazil?" I was like, "What about Brazil?" She's like, "What do you think about fighting in Brazil?" I was like, "Oh, that would be good." UFC just called and said, "They want you to fight in Brazil in like 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks." Started crying and shit. I was like, "Oh, perfect," you know, because like this is like everything you work towards as a kid and able to be in the UFC. it was a dream come true, you know.
Leon stepped into the UFC Octagon for the first time in November 2014, facing Claudio Silva at the UFC Fight Night. Despite being primarily a kickboxer, Rocky favoured a stand-up approach and adopted a stance to fend off takedowns. However, due to his lack of experience, Silva managed to repeatedly bring him to the ground, securing a split decision win in their bout. He made a strong comeback in his second UFC appearance against Seth Baczynski in April 2015. On that memorable night, Leon claimed the performance of the night honours, showcasing his trademark technical precision by delivering a knockout just 8 seconds into the first round. It was a true blink and you'll miss it affair. More importantly, it showed that Edwards' power punch demanded respect on MMA's biggest stage, as he established a foothold in one of the most competitive divisions in the sport. In July of that year, Leon defeated Pavlak with a unanimous decision.
I mean, landed a bigger kick. He took it. Hammer fist still took it, so it was a tough guy. Fair play to him.
However, he ran into a brick wall when he crossed paths with the Nigerian nightmare Kamaru Usman in December of that same year. Facing Usman, Edwards demonstrated significantly enhanced proficiency in the grappling aspect, yet it ultimately fell short. While Rocky managed to hold his ground in the clinch against Usman, he couldn't prevent the Nigerian nightmare from overpowering him.
Get side control on them, they leave themselves open for it.
Usman finished the bout with a staggering 10 minutes and 50 seconds of control time. Meanwhile, Edwards could only control his opponent on the ground for 40 seconds.
And Edwards just landed a short elbow from the back.
It was blue-collar work, but it earned Usman the win, and the judges scored the bout 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28.
That was the way it was meant to go, to build me into the man I am today.
But tonight I'd like to make Leon my first ever black belt.
The tough lesson from the Nigerian nightmare taught Edwards that his defensive wrestling needed improvement. To address this, he dedicated time to train at the American Kickboxing Academy, known as the home to some of the MMA's top wrestlers such as Daniel Cormier, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Cain Velasquez. The results were instantaneous.
Clearly learned some valuable lessons his last time, trying to make it 9 wins in his last 11 here.
Putting a lot of shoulder pressure on the face of Dominic Waters.
Attempts. Yeah, that knee to the body really seemed to hurt Waters. Waters really breathing heavy now, unable to mount.
Away with short elbows and short handle
of that fight, but it was largely Leon Edwards here tonight.
After that, he tested his newfound wrestling skills against Albert Tuminov, choking him to secure a submission win.
Albert's a good opponent, strong, aggressive opponent.
The terms underrated and underappreciated have been tossed around so much by the UFC fans that they've lost meaning. However, in Edwards' case, these descriptors accurately captured the essence of the majority of his career. The challenge lay in the fact that Rocky hadn't yet discovered a specific area where he could truly dominate his opponents. Throughout his time in the UFC, he has developed into a well-rounded fighter. Nevertheless, it's fair to say that he's a versatile performer, excelling in various skills but not mastering one.
It's not the end of the world. Loss is only bad when you're not honest with yourself, you know. Loss is only bad when you think, oh, I shouldn't have lost that, shouldn't have done that, shouldn't have done this, when realistically you did something wrong. The reason why you lost, that way you wouldn't have lost, you know. This is how I look at my career, look at my training.
And his perceived lack of a killer instinct is also why for the longest time Edwards wasn't as popular as his contemporaries.
Would it be attractive to you to have Leon up next?
Yeah, of course it would. So if I beat Masvidal, then I beat Leon. He can get the beating he wants so much. I'll punch a hole in your face. Come on, Leon, don't kid yourself, brother. Right now in England, I'm the number one.
You're not number one?
Well, I am. I'm the main event, mate.
While fame should not be a factor for success, the UFC has shown time and time again that it favours fighters who generate hype.
I know a lot about you as well. You keep your mouth shut, kid. Let me take my picture. How's Noah? How's Noah, huh? Yeah, shut your mouth.
After flying under the radar of a stacked division despite an impressive 5-fight winning streak,
the winner by TKO, Leon Rocky
Edwards squared off against the MMA legend Donald Cowboy Cerrone in 2018.
UFC history, baby!
It's the only fight that was probably his biggest fight up to date.
Cerrone's carefree approach and remarkable career had endeared him to fans across the MMA world. Not only did Cowboy have a sensational skill set, but he put on a show every time he fought. was exciting, aggressive, and loved nothing more than exchanging leather with the best fighters in the world. Cerrone tried to get Edwards to the ground throughout the 25-minute contest, but had very little success. He displayed excellent timing with his shots, yet Edwards' size and defensive wrestling ultimately proved insurmountable. Cerrone found himself repeatedly on the receiving end of elbow strikes in the clinch due to failed takedown attempts. After a UFC bell roll-through, Edwards secured his 6th consecutive victory, defeating Cowboy by a unanimous decision. Leon then stretched his winning streak to 7 fights by securing a split decision victory against Gunnar Nelson in March 2019. Merely 4 months later, Edwards achieved the most significant triumph of his career, at that point when he faced the former lightweight champion, Rafael dos Anjos. Throughout 5 rounds, Edwards adeptly defended almost all of Dos Anjos' takedowns attempts, consistently punishing him with elbows in the clinch. Dos Anjos' pressure didn't rattle Edwards.
Man, it's so good how Leon Edwards can land that left elbow.
Instead, he showcased composure and a well-rounded performance. Edwards outmuscled him in the clinch, resulting in a clear-cut decision win that extended his winning streak to 8.
I'm on an 8-fight win streak. One of the hardest divisions in the sport.
This coincided with the year Kamaru Usman secured the welterweight championship.
For decision, for the winner by unanimous decision, and new UFC undisputed welterweight champion of the world.
With Leon Edwards triumphing over virtually every opponent he faced, it became evident what his ultimate goal was.
Give me the rematch against Kamaru Usman. He was the last guy to beat me 4 years ago, and I love my rematch, so let's make it happen.
However, for the subsequent year and a half, Leon faced a hurdle in competing in the UFC.
The time has now come for us all to do more. From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Residing in London, travel restrictions meant he would have to make a permanent move to the US if he intended to continue fighting there.
To have been ready, been in shape, and not having the opportunity to compete was depressing.
Finally, in 2021, he was set to headline a fight night event against Belal Muhammad.
It's the main event. It's taking place in Las Vegas against Belal Muhammad, a very, very tough fighter in terms of going up against Kamaru Usman. They're both very, very strong wrestlers.
This was meant to be his triumphant return, but just 8 seconds into the second round, Leon accidentally poked Belal in the eye.
Oh, another poke. Oh, it was a poke in the eye. Yeah. It wasn't a low blow as he landed.
It wasn't a poke.
Nah, it wasn't a poke.
It was like a knuckle.
If
like
you see the picture, it's like you're a kicker, right? So when you're kicking, you don't hold your fist and kick like this, right? You kind of use it to momentum to swing your arm back, and as I was doing it, it kind of just like grazed his eyes. Well, not grazed, it kind of went deep, but it grazed his eyes a bit.
Causing the fight to end in a no contest.
I mean, that eye is immediately swollen. That's one of the worst cases I've ever seen.
The ringside physician stepped into the octagon, and shortly afterward, referee Herb Dean halted the bout, signalling the end to the fight.
Has been declared a no decision.
When I got back to the hospital, they had to do like stitches in the bottom eyelid.
Dana White had mentioned that had Edwards emerged victorious against Muhammad, he would have been next in line for a title shot. Clearly, this ended up being a disappointing and confusing night for Leon, not the result he'd hoped for in his return.
First of all, obviously I apologise to Belal. I didn't mean to do it, you know. I went for the cross head kick. He stepped into it, and I really apologise. But I'd rather a loss than that, you know. I'm just heartbroken. I don't know what to say.
Muhammad later wrote on social media that his vision was coming back and his eye had no permanent damage, begging for a rematch with Edwards.
I think he should go back, work his way back up, and then hopefully we can meet somewhere down the line. But for now, I'm looking towards a title shot. I'm looking towards being a world champion.
Respect as a man, as a fighter, as a martial artist, that wasn't a real fight. That was like, we literally had one round. If you think you're a real champion, you got to beat everybody. So you got to beat me. If you think you earned a title shot off a no contest, that's like the stupidest thing I ever heard. You literally haven't fought in 600 days. You haven't gotten a win in 600 days. So you don't deserve a title shot. You deserve another rematch.
Rocky proceeded to his next bout against Nate Diaz at UFC 263 in June 2021, a match that fans dubbed the co-main event. This fight made history as the only non-title, non-main event 5-round bout in UFC history. Edwards initiated the fight by presenting Diaz with a variety of looks to keep him off balance. He effortlessly took Diaz down, dominated him on the ground, and inflicted damage with brutal elbows.
Oh boy, nice elbow there from Leon.
Edwards showcased improvisation in his attacks, executing multiple sweeps that sent Diaz off his feet. He threw everything but the kitchen sink at the Stockton native. Despite Diaz's renowned durability and cardio, Edwards had him rocked by the end of the 5th round, turning Diaz's face into something resembling of a horror movie. Yet Diaz continued to walk down Edwards. In the final minute of the fight, Diaz landed a crisp 1-2 right through Edwards' guard, rocking him. Surprisingly, instead of going for the finish, Diaz chose to mock Rocky. In the end, Leon secured the win via unanimous decision.
Leon Rocky!
No hate on Leon. Congratulations to him. And why would you fight anybody but the top guy if you're gonna fight at all? So yeah, I wish it would have went my way, but it's all good.
Did he hit you in that last round? Hard enough to wobble me. I've been wobbled probably like once in my career, so fair play to him, you know.
Having demonstrated his prowess in 9 consecutive fights, excluding the non-contest against Belal Muhammad, the moment had arrived for him to seize his inaugural title opportunity in the UFC.
On his fight, he absolutely deserves the next title
By
shot.
this juncture, Kamaru Usman had reigned as the welterweight champion for nearly 3 years.
Champion of the world, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare!
Securing 5 successful title defences since claiming the championship from Tyrone Woodley in 2019. During his reign, he defended opponents like Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, and Gilbert Burns. Compared to them, Leon Edwards was barely even in the conversation, so when their fight was scheduled for August 2022, most betting websites and news analysts predicted that this would be an extremely easy win for Kamaru. The Nigerian Nightmare seemed to have the victory secured, or so he
everybody
thought.
knows when Kamaru Usman's fighting, you don't bet against him. And so, of course, your money's safe if you bet on me.
This is the moment you all been waiting for!
The fight unfolded at a deliberate pace, predominantly against the fence, with Usman pressing Edwards into the mesh. Their struggle involved submission attempts and defensive maneuvers. However, the final round mirrored the earlier ones. Usman, accustomed to training at high altitudes in Denver, remained fresh and lively, sustaining the attack as Leon fought to thwart the onslaught. With Usman ahead on points, Edwards needed something extraordinary.
Sorry for your well, come on then! What's wrong with you? You're too now. You got a ball out of fire. Stay sharp. Come on, Leon, man. You got it, man. Come on. You got this. Sharpshooter. Yeah. Come on, Leon. Let's go. You had him, man. Can you do it again? Okay. Come on.
With the clock ticking under a minute, in a career-defining moment, Rocky delivered. Employing a feint, he baited Usman's head to the side and unleashed a devastating roundhouse to Usman's head, knocking the champion out cold. The pound-for-pound champion was dethroned, sending the UFC world into a frenzy.
Head kick KO! Oh my God!
The incredulous atmosphere in the arena was palpable. Even Joe Rogan described the kick as the best he had ever seen in the UFC.
Crazy. That's the greatest come from behind head kick knockout ever.
It was over. Usman was dominating the last.
I watched it again today. I watched it in the gym today, working out. It's like, fuck, it's crazy.
Usman's extensive streak of title defences came to an end, and a new UFC welterweight champion emerged. The way Edwards secured the victory undoubtedly conveyed a powerful message to all fighters, emphasising that the fight isn't decided until the final bell rings.
It's been a long fight for 4 years. The old doubted me, I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now. Living it. Pound for pound. Headshot. Dead. That's it. Pound for pound what? Pound for pound what? There is no pound for pound. The
Leon took out the man who initially stopped his UFC rise by defeating him in 2015. But for Leon to go down as one of the greatest of all time, he had to now show the world that he could maintain his supreme reign.
You know, I did not feel myself in there, so I know once I check my phone and go online, all the other fighters will be like, I want to fight him, you know, and so, yeah, therefore, I feel like there's much more I got to offer. That wasn't my best performance, and believe, like, I'm number one, so to be number one, you cannot be losing rounds to people like Kamaru, even though he is good. If you truly believe in your heart you're number one, you should be go out there and dominate everything, and I didn't get to do for the whole rounds tonight.
Having ended Usman's 15-fight UFC win streak, it only made sense for the occurrence of a trilogy.
See you soon, boy. See you soon.
Arguments erupted on social media about his victory over the Nightmare, many saying it was a lucky head kick to say the least, so Leon had much to prove going into the third fight.
What's the excuse for the head kick you got?
I dropped my head. There's no excuse. There was no excuse. Beautiful technique. My hand came down and you landed it. What was your excuse for the 3 rounds before that, getting your head beat in?
Getting your head beat in. Your coach had to back you. Come against the cage.
Come on, Rock.
This man had never once a left hand unscathed. Not one.
Bully you, son.
Not one mark on the face.
You're getting bullied, son.
Behave yourself.
And you're gonna be bullied again.
We'll see.
You're getting bullied, son.
We'll see.
Don't let him bully you, son.
You'll see.
Don't let him bully you, son.
You awake? You good?
Don't let him bully you, son.
That boy's concussed. You don't know what he's talking about.
He's bullying you, son. Come on.
Carrying the weight of a champion on his shoulders, the trilogy fight was confirmed in late 2022, scheduled in the early months of 2023 in his home country, England. His return to London was a triumphant one. Instead of the boos that rang around the O2 Arena during his last fight there, Edwards was the belle of the ball and the man carrying the UK MMA on his back. As he turned in an even more impressive performance over 5 rounds. For all 5 rounds, the welterweight rivals ran close to level, with each man having moments where they landed good shots. Neither really grabbing a clear advantage, they battled each other every step of the way.
Left-hand connection for Usman. Now he
A 3rd round point deduction against Edwards for grabbing the fence to deny a takedown attempt loomed large, hovering as a pivotal moment in an ultra-competitive, freakishly close fight.
For the winner by majority decision, and still
retaining his title in an absolute classic against an all-time great that brought greatness out of him. The victory pushed his unbeaten streak to 12 while cementing him as a champion. In July 2023, Edwards confirmed another title defense.
How he just slides in for the world title shot when there's other guys in the division that's been active, been fighting, didn't sit out.
Leon was to be tasked with fighting the man that many believe would have held the undisputed champion had the Nightmare Nigerian not existed. A win over the American would stamp Edwards' place on the mountaintop and finish a banner year for the English MMA scene after Tom Aspinall captured the interim heavyweight title at UFC 295. Leading up to the fight, many critics were anticipating the pre-fight press conference as some of the best trash talkers were set to collide. There was also speculation of a Conor McGregor feature, but this fell short due to his struggles with USADA. At the UFC 296 news conference, Colby Covington made a shocking comment about Leon Edwards' late father.
You never want to be. I'm going to bring you the 7th layer hell. Okay. No, I'm bringing you the 7th layer hell. We'll say what's up to your dad while we're there. Oh!
Covington continued to goad Edwards and others throughout, dressed as George Washington, even poking fun at Ian Gary after he withdrew from the card due to pneumonia.
Same lesson I teach to Ian is you don't make a hoe a housewife.
Covington made similar below-the-belt comments ahead of his fight with Jorge Masvidal.
Just make sure you show up, bitch. Just make sure you show up, bitch. I lived in Maritza's house. I didn't live in your house, bitch. Maritza paid the motherfucking bills.
My house.
Your children.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Forget about your children, you deadbeat motherfucking dad.
And it resulted in their beef being settled in the streets of Miami following their fight at UFC 272.
I've had experiences like this before with opponents where they are trying to
emotionally wreck you before they face you physically?
It's not emotionally wrecking me. I think it's more motivation. When it's time to compete, I am cold in there and I listen to my coaches. That man is as good as dead tomorrow. Make sure he keeps everything he said about my dad. Just tomorrow.
Leon Edwards took all of Colby Covington's vile trash talk leading into the fight, stayed composed and put together a poised performance.
First takedown of the fight.
Edwards defeated Covington via unanimous decision with all 3 judges scoring the fight 49-46. With the victory, Edwards successfully defended the UFC welterweight title for a second time.
This
With the tension between the 2 men boiling over at the pre-fight news conference on Thursday, Rocky Edwards mentioned,
my dad's murder entertainment, and it took a lot for me to calm down, stay focused, and come in this fight, you know. And
I take Colby as a personal insult to me, because the Trumpsters, the Republicans, you guys are my fucking people. The blue-collar workers, you guys are my people. And you have a like Colby, a cut like Colby, come in here and taking up the banner. He don't give a about you. And him making fun of Leon's dad, that is the biggest move you can do. That is the biggest cunt move to do. Leon's mom, dad, bad guy, good guy, doesn't matter. He raised the boy, she raised the boy to be a man, to win a title, to be a good man. And a real American would applaud him for that. They wouldn't tear him down for that.